Today our topic is why Stoics practiced silence. The Stoics, ancient philosophers who believed in living a life of virtue and inner peace, often practiced silence as a way to gain control over their minds and emotions. They understood that silence was not just the absence of noise, but a powerful tool for self-reflection, discipline, and clarity. In a world filled with distractions, gossip, and unnecessary chatter, the Stoics chose silence to focus on what truly mattered: their own thoughts, actions, and character. They believed that by staying silent, they could avoid saying things they might regret, wasting energy on trivial matters, and being influenced by the opinions of others. Silence helped them cultivate wisdom, patience, and emotional resilience. One reason the Stoics practiced silence was to avoid unnecessary conflict. They knew that words could be sharp and hurtful, even if spoken without intention. By choosing silence, they prevented arguments, misunderstandings, and the spread of negativity. For example, if someone insulted them, instead of responding with anger or defensiveness, they would remain silent. This was not a sign of weakness, but a demonstration of strength. By not engaging in a conflict, they showed that they were in control of their emotions and did not need validation or approval from others. This practice allowed them to maintain their inner peace and focus on their own growth. Another reason for practicing silence was to listen and observe. The Stoics believed that by staying quiet, they could learn more about the world and the people around them. When we talk too much, we often miss important details or fail to understand others' perspectives. Silence allows us to pay attention, think deeply, and gain insight. For example, if you are in a meeting or a conversation, staying silent can help you absorb information, notice body language, and understand the underlying emotions of others. This makes you a better communicator and decision-maker, because you are not just reacting, but truly listening. The Stoics also practiced silence to reflect on their own lives and actions. They believed that self-awareness was key to living a virtuous life. By taking time to be quiet, they could examine their thoughts, behaviors, and choices. They would ask themselves questions like, did I act with integrity today? Did I let my emotions control me? Am I focusing on what I can control or wasting energy on things outside my power? This practice of self-reflection helped them stay aligned with their values and goals. It also allowed them to identify areas for improvement and make better decisions in the future. Silence was also a way for the Stoics to practice humility. In a world where people often boast about their achievements or compete for attention, the Stoics chose to remain quiet. They believed that true worth came from within and did not need to be announced to others. By staying silent, they avoided the temptation to seek approval or validation from others. This helped them stay grounded and focused on their own progress rather than comparing themselves to others. It also allowed them to appreciate the achievements of others without feeling jealous or threatened. Another important reason for practicing silence was to conserve energy. The Stoics understood that talking too much could be exhausting and distracting. It could drain their mental and emotional energy, leaving them less focused and productive. By choosing silence, they preserve their energy for more important tasks and challenges. This principle can be applied to our modern lives as well. How often do we find ourselves caught in endless conversations, debates, or social media arguments that leave us feeling drained and unproductive? By practicing silence, we can save our energy for the things that truly matter, such as our goals, relationships, and personal growth. The Stoics also believed that silence was a way to practice mindfulness. In today's fast-paced world, we are constantly bombarded with information, notifications, and distractions. This can make it difficult to stay present and focused. By practicing silence, we can slow down, clear our minds, and become more aware of the present moment. This helps us appreciate the simple things in life, such as the beauty of nature, the warmth of a smile, or the sound of our own breath. It also helps us stay calm and centered, even in the face of challenges. Practicing silence also allows us to develop patience. In a world where we are used to instant gratification and quick results, silence teaches us to wait and be still. It reminds us that not everything needs an immediate response or solution. Sometimes the best course of action is to do nothing and let things unfold naturally. This can be especially helpful in situations where we feel stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed. By staying silent and patient, we give ourselves the space to think clearly and make better decisions. The Stoics also saw silence as a way to practice gratitude. When we are quiet, we can take the time to appreciate what we have and reflect on the blessings in our lives. This helps us stay positive and content, even in difficult times. For example, instead of complaining about a problem, we can focus on the things we are grateful for, such as our health, relationships, or opportunities. This shift in perspective can make a big difference in how we approach challenges and setbacks. In addition to these benefits, silence also helps us develop empathy and compassion. When we are quiet, we can better understand the feelings and experiences of others. We become more attuned to their needs and more willing to help. This strengthens our relationships and makes us better friends, partners, and colleagues. It also helps us build a sense of community and connection, which is essential for our well-being. The Stoics also believed that silence was a way to practice self-control. They understood that our words have power, and that once spoken, they cannot be taken back. By choosing silence, they avoided saying things they might regret or that could harm others. This practice of self-control helped them stay true to their values and maintain their integrity. It also allowed them to build trust and respect with others, as people knew they could rely on the Stoics to be thoughtful and considerate in their words and actions. Finally, the Stoics practiced silence as a way to connect with something greater than themselves. They believed that by being quiet and still, they could tap into a deeper sense of purpose and meaning. This could be through meditation, prayer, or simply spending time in nature. This connection gave them a sense of peace and fulfillment that went beyond material success or external validation. It reminded them that life is not just about achieving goals or accumulating wealth, but about living in harmony with the world and with themselves. In conclusion, the Stoics practiced silence for many reasons. It helped them avoid conflict, listen and observe, reflect on their lives, practice humility, conserve energy, stay mindful, develop patience, express gratitude, build empathy, exercise self-control, and connect with a deeper sense of purpose. These principles are just as relevant today as they were in ancient times. By incorporating silence into our own lives, we can gain clarity, peace, and strength. We can become more focused, compassionate, and resilient. And we can live a life that is true to our values and aligned with our highest potential. So the next time you feel overwhelmed or distracted, try practicing silence. Take a moment to be still, listen, and reflect. You might be surprised at the wisdom and peace you find within.